Hey everybody, welcome to another week on the wheel.
Welcome, welcome. So good all of you are joining us yet again here at the wheel.
Here at the wheel. I'm April Nevels.
And I am James Lehman.
And we're excited to be here. How about that message last week?
I don't even want to talk about it.
Oh my God.
Absolutely phenomenal.
What was it, one day at a time?
One day, one time. And go home?
And go home. Listen, it was powerful and it was information about how to plan for your 2022.
Yes, you have to strategize. In the words of Pastor Tudman, you have to strategize moving forward, and that's what these conversations are about.
That word was so good though. Let me just stay there for just a little minute. I mean, he preached that thing and sang us under a pew. Did you hear that song? It's turning.
I'm still singing. It's turning. The wheel is turning. I'm on the wheel.
You gotta get on the wheel. You have to get on the wheel. Revival begins
at the wheel.
At the wheel.
At the wheel.
Yes,
Definitely
so we're so excited. And we're excited about the month of January. Now, this entire month will be virtual.
Of course, virtual. We're taking account into everybody's health, everybody's situation.
Right.
So we are virtual for the entire month of January. But that does not mean you cannot be a part.
Listen, we ain't slacking in content.
Not at all.
You will be filled. You will be full by the time you leave here today. And you will have information that you can apply to your life that will guarantee a great result. I'm excited.
I'm super excited.
I got my pen and paper ready.
You got your notes? You ready to take your notes?
Yeah, I'm ready to take my notes. And you know what I want to do? I want to tell you all about how you can sow into this amazing ministry.
Of course. So there's several ways to do so. First, you can text the word wheel. The phone number is, the number is 28950.
Yeah.
Again, wheel, W-H-E-E-L, to 28950.
Yeah.
And while you're at it, you may as well go ahead and download the app, the TPJ app. That's another way, another platform to sow into our ministry. Just know, you're sowing into good ground.
Good ground. I tell y'all that every Sunday.
You're sowing into good ground.
It's good ground.
And you know what they always say, what you put in is what you get out. So the more you pour into this great ministry, the more we're able to provide these types of platforms, these types of conversations, and special guests just for you.
Because we have an amazing special guest today.
Amazing. Phenomenal.
Yes. I don't know if we're allowed to say his name.
Can we say his name?
I don't know, but it's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. You want to stay tuned. We're about to pull Pastor up. He's going to come and let you know who's going to speak into your life today. I'm excited.
Here's Pastor.
Well, Will family, we have our pastor, our bishop, our senior leader online, and we always try to give you a moment with our bishop. Bishop, will you please say hello to the Will family, sir?
Well, I want to congratulate you on your launch, and I'm so excited, Pastor Tudman, for what you're doing with the Will to galvanize this group in this section of our congregation, so that they might experience what the Will represents. So to all of you that are listening right now, I want you to understand that the Will itself, by virtue of its name, suggests process, but it also suggests vision. No potter puts clay on a wheel and then makes it up as he goes. He has the end in mind when he starts. The real takeaway is that nothing is set in stone. So if where you are, you don't like it. If where your finances are, you don't like it. If where you are in your marriage, you don't like it. If where you are in your career, you don't like it. It's all moldable. It's all developable. It can be shaped and reshaped and remolded again. The potter has a vision in mind for the clay, but the clay doesn't look anything like what he has in mind. But that's why he puts it on the wheel. And every touch is strategic. And I want you to understand and believe that every touch is strategic. The people that speak, the people that share, the people that you're going to be exposed to, the conversations that are born, the people that you're going to meet are all the touch of the master on the clay. Each indentation is going to bring about a change. And as he throws the water of the word on top of it, and you begin to develop integrity in all of those different areas of your life, in your finances, in your marriage, in your emotions, in your future, in your career. I want you to see this as an opportunity to be developed, to be enhanced, to be mentored, to have something modeled in front of you that you can duplicate even if you didn't have that model at home. Welcome to the wheel, and let the spinning begin. And might I warn you, sometimes it's going to be riveting, and sometimes you're going to get busy. And sometimes you're not going to see what the end result is going to be, but stay on the wheel. The best is yet to come.
Thank you, Bishop. Wheel family, I want you to find an emoji and I want you to clap your hands for our amazing leader. There's nobody like him, and we bless God for him and what he's allowing us to do. Come on.
Love you.
Will family, welcome to the first set of conversations I have with me, not just a serial entrepreneur, but a friend of mine tonight that I am blessed that he has taken out the time to talk. We've been talking about game planning, and I couldn't think of another person that would fit this very first conversation besides this man that you see on the screen. His name is Adrian Davis. Now, some of you may know him, some of you may not, but the name itself will be one of those like Burberry. It'll be one of those names like Tommy Hilfiger. That's what I think of when I think of Adrian Davis. We go back into ministry in the pulpit. But now God has expanded his ministry far beyond the pulpit. And I want you, Adrian, first of all, thank you for coming on. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, man. I'm honored, super honored to be here and have this conversation with you.
I want to open up just straight up. Tell us your story. Give us a small microcosm of the story before we get into interviewing you. We just want to know a little bit about Adrian Davis, the man.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm a Southern boy. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, man. And for the past 10 years of my life, did ministry in Huntsville, Alabama, All Nations Church there, and focusing in on ministry. I knew that when I started ministry, when I started the church, I knew that I would not, and I would tell my church this all the time, like, hey, I'm not going to die in the pulpit. You know, I remember when LeBron had the situation where he began to speak up about political issues. And I remember the lady, I'm not going to make her famous, you know, but the lady said, you know, shut up and dribble. And then he came out with a shirt that said more than an athlete. And I turned around and I used that same font. We actually hand wrote that font. And I came out with these shirts called More Than a Preacher. And because I think a lot of times people are so comfortable keeping you how they met you, and it changes or it limits what they are able to receive from you because they only see you in one dynamic or in one space. And so I knew that I would, you know, do more than just, you know, preach. Although I love local church, although I love ministry, although I love God, although I love God's people, I always felt that I was called to do more than just pastor. And a lot of times, and so with that, you know, pastoring, growing a church, you know, starting from scratch, you know, 1,000 members, you know, church is successful, all of that stuff. Then I launched my sneaker business. I have it's called Heart and Soul. It's a brick and mortar business, sneakers. I love sneakers. I've been in the shoes for a long time. You know
more
that
sneakers than anybody I know. Anybody I know.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. Like I before I moved to LA, man, I would, you know, I would put my collection up against anybody. Now, you know, it's a few people I'd be like, you know, but they may win because I done sold some stuff since I've been here. But I will say, like, I'm still up there. Like I'm still in the top 5. so open up you know, I you know, for me, my thing is I was able to turn my passion into a paycheck. And sneakers is one of my passions. And then I own a branding and marketing company. I started doing this thing called Commas, which you see behind me. This is the part of Commerce Academy because that's my mentorship program. But even with church, I was branding church, I was marketing church, coming up with concepts and ideas and that type of situation. Then I opened up a restaurant in Alabama, and so owning a sneaker store, owning a restaurant, it is in partnership, but for me, partnerships are absolutely amazing because you go further faster. And so in business, I absolutely grab a hold and gravitate to partnerships a lot of times. But and then, man, doing ministry and then knowing that I wrestled with moving away from Alabama for 2 years. My stepfather passed away. After that, 2 months after my stepfather passed away, my father was killed in a car wreck. And then 6 months after my father was killed in a car wreck, my older brother died to lung cancer. And those deaths, man, really allowed me to see, for one, we don't know the time. And we say this type of stuff in church all the time, right? We don't know the time or the place, live for the moment. But when it really hits home and you have to navigate through grief and those type of things, then you begin to think about the opportunities that are before you and understanding that this is the youngest that you're ever going to be. And understanding that, I gotta, if I want to, and I've always had a love for entertainment, doing things in entertainment, creating content and things of that nature. And so I was like, I'm going to make the move. And a lot of people didn't understand it, because they were like, man, your church is doing amazing. I would love to be in your shoes. I was in a nice home. I wasn't hurting for anything. But I believe that comfortability is the killer to a call. And so whenever you're called to do something, whenever you find yourself comfortable, man, the only thing that sits still for a long time are just, good being comfortable, things that are either dead or they're dying. And so, man, I just, through counsel of my pastors and so forth and so on, I just was like, you know what? Now it's time for me to make this leap. And it's for me, it was biblical because I believe that a lot of us are called to go into different sectors and to benefit or help those markets. And I believe that I'm called to the entertainment market. I'm called to the business market. I'm called to those sectors, and I'm called to give voice and language to those sectors. I believe that I have friends that are really great actors and they do great things, but they call me for advice and things of that nature. And I love that. But I just believe I'm called to it. So, man, I made this move out here to LA, been in LA for a little over a year. Got my branding and marketing company going, doing classes, teaching my mentorship programs, and then launching my clothing line the first quarter of this year. And so, man, just
you've been busy.
Yeah, dude, I'm every day, man, like every day grinding, working, because I, Dr. Miles Monroe, late Dr. Miles Monroe said we should go to the grave empty. And that's my motto, man. I want to go to the grave empty. I don't want to go to the grave full of potential possibility and what could have been, man, because I have a legacy to leave. And for me, real ministry outlasts your breath.
Come on.
So man, like, when people say, well, you're not doing ministry anymore. I'm like, no, I do ministry every day. I touch people. I help people every single day. I just may not do it in a traditional context of preaching in a pulpit every single Sunday. I still preach, but I may not do it in the traditional context, but it does not make me any less effective. And then in all actuality, I've been able to touch more people that don't have the stigma of hearing the word pastor and saying, well, you don't look like one.
Well, which is one of the great reasons why we've tried to create this wheel and to have these conversations. Number one, everybody knows our senior pastor, Bishop Jakes, is an entrepreneur, multiple fields. And to have these conversations, we wanted to make sure that when we built this ministry, this department within the church, that it was a microcosm of what he's done. He's got his hand in so many different places in an area that you love, entertainment. So we wanted to have someone on here like you, such as yourself, that has looked impossibility in the face and slapped it and said, I'm coming after it. And so what I want to do is just pause real quick, because Adrian has said some amazing thought-provoking statements already within just the first few minutes of our opening, that I think you all need to understand. That I know ministry is having a microphone and being on the praise team and on the dance team and preaching the gospel, but there's so much more that can be done beyond those 8-10 microphones and that small stage or that big stage. And this is living proof. There's some of you that are sitting there now that are debating, if I do this, am I stepping outside of the will of God? No, you're going into the marketplace and you're just moving your gift from a stage to the street, to an office complex, in business meetings, in town halls. And the kingdom is not just in a church house. It is in everybody's house. And so we are bringing people to you such as Adrian Davis to encourage you and give you some how-tos on how to launch out into what it is that God has called you to do. Let me ask you this, Adrian, real quick before we take one quick break. We've been talking about game planning. What does that word mean to you? That phrase, game planning. What does that mean to you?
Well, for me, when I hear the word game planning, it literally means to create vision and strategy for what you are moving into or what your desires may be. One of the things, man, as soon as you said it, I think of two verses. I think of Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision, make it plain so that they may run and not faint. And then there's a scripture in Proverbs, I believe it's Proverbs 18, don't quote me on that, I think it's chapter 18, verse 7 or somewhere around there. But it says, many are the thoughts in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's will that will prevail. Yeah. But a lot of times people read that and automatically say, well, if it's the Lord's will gonna prevail, he just gonna do what the Lord want to do anyway, or he's already done what he wants to do anyway. He doesn't tell us not to plan.
Right.
And I think what we do, we make excuses for our lack of preparation or our desire to be lazy. And so we'll say, well, God gonna do what God wants to do anyway, but he tells us to plan. And I honestly think it's because what God is trying to look at is he's trying to see, does your plans, have you purified your heart enough? And does your plans invoke me? And my will prevail for sure. But I got to have something to blow your mind about.
Wow.
Like a lot of times we're not planning. We say that God will do exceedingly above anything that you can ask or think. I hear that. But if you haven't planned anything, he has nothing to blow your mind about. He has no record to break because you haven't created a record. He has nothing to wow you from because you have not created a plan. And so when I hear game plan, I think strategy. I think us writing and getting our thoughts out of our heads. What I tell my mentees all the time, man, like they be like, oh yeah, I'm going to remember that. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not. Oh, I got a great memory. So do I. And I tell them this all the time, man, a dull pencil beats a sharp mind any day. That it's in what we write down. It's in what we game plan. It's in what we set to achieve. At the start of every year, I do a thing. I just did it with my staff at the restaurant. This past Sunday, we zoomed in. I'm in LA, they're in Alabama. We closed the restaurant down. We zoomed in with our staff and we created goal boards for the year. We're writing down our goals. I don't have a vision board. I don't have a problem with vision. I can think to the moon. I'm a creative. I have no problem with visioning, right? What I have a problem with is the steps that's going to take to achieve that vision. So I create goals. I have a goal board. And every year I do it. And throughout the year, I modify it. I add notes to it. I change it, whatever it may be. But I set goals for myself and benchmarks. So, man, when I think that, game plan, I think strategy, I think those scriptures, and I think of us getting out of our head onto paper and not just saying, oh, well, this is what I envision for myself. Where's that written? Because a lot of times what we tend to do, we keep it in our head, because if we write it down on paper, it sets accountability next to it.
Absolutely.
And we don't like that. We don't.
Let's go a little bit further. Let's go further. You got the game plan. You have the game plan. You shut the restaurant down. You've got all of these employees listening. We're putting all these goals in place. Where does God fit in your plan? Has that ever been an issue? Has that ever been an issue with God?
A major issue.
Thank you for admitting that.
Yeah, man. Like, man, listen, bro. I mean, all these people, man, we'll over spiritualize it. We'll get on Instagram and be like, God is the head and he's this. Man, listen. Here's the truth about me. I can't speak for everybody else. The truth about me is that I definitely warred in transitioning from church to entrepreneurship of who is leading this ship.
Wow.
When it came to church, obvious, it's the Lord. You tell us what to do. You show us what's the game plan. When it came to entrepreneurship, I was like, no, this is me. This is me betting on me. This is my intellect. This is my might. This is my power. These are my doors that I need to open up. And I did not initially put God first, or as I like to say, make God the center of that. And I don't like, and so now, before, what I was doing, I was creating based upon need and how much money I need to make, and to live and to provide for my family and to do those type of things. I got a mother that looks to me. I got, what I'm saying? So it's like, that aspect, and so it was all about what I could do, and not understanding that even when I transitioned out of the church, the Lord gave me a word. He says, you will never build alone again.
Wow.
And for me, I got out here to LA and I found myself alone. I knew nobody here, and I'm trying to build and trying to work. And I was like, God, you told me I never build alone. But then as months went on, the realization was I wasn't alone. He was there. I had just kicked him out of the plan. And so what I did, I was moving at my own beat, at my own pace, without consulting God, because I was running, but I wasn't listening to the voice. It's almost like, NASCAR, driving the car, but you're not going to the pit stop, or you're not pulling over to get the instruction on how you can execute.
Adrian, and man, you're saying so much good stuff. I want to know, with you being a former senior pastor, you've already got the pastoral mind, all right? And so then you step into this more prominent CEO role, still a pastor at heart. That ain't going nowhere, If it was difficult for you as a pastor, how difficult has that been with all of the other, owners that you've been around, business owners that you've been around, to communicate that God is in charge, but I don't see him, but because you are carrying all the weight, you're the one signing all the checks, you're having to make sure that there's enough to take care of everything. How do you convince other business owners to realize, or even just entrepreneurial starters, I want to start this company. Hey, start with God in mind. How difficult is that to communicate, and how difficult is that to digest?
Well, for one, I think before you can communicate it, you have to confront it within yourself first. And what I had to do was understand that the pastoral side of me and the CEO side of me, they oftentimes bump heads, because the CEO side of me says, look at the numbers. The pastoral side of me says, check your faith. The CEO side of me says, look at the finance. The pastor side says, look at your faith. And then trying to have that war within myself. But then once I settle that within myself, being able to communicate that to my business partners, being able to communicate that to other leaders and owners that I, encounter or work with or give it advice to, that may not understand this God God perspective, and they may not be Christian. They worship the universe and they feel energy, and especially out here in LA, like I've met multimillionaires that are just like, yo, man, I just love your energy. They invite me to their homes. I've been sitting in boardrooms with people I know I make the least amount of money. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know how I ended up in here, but God is such a God. I tell people this, man, because God is such a God. God is a gentleman. He's a gentleman. He finds his way. He maneuvers his way in every conversation if you allow him to. And what I have done is that once I settle within myself, it makes it easier for me when they see the proven results of certain things. They ask the question, man, how were you able to do that? And I said, well, listen, man, my number said this, but man, I really consulted in my prayer time and God told me to do this. They're like, wait a minute. And I'm like, God, or they be like, man, dude, you super creative, man. How did you think of this? How did you do this? How did you do that? I'd be like, man, listen, I worship the ultimate creator. I'm only able to create through my relationship with the creator. And I introduce God. How I introduce God to a lot of owners and business owners, or whatever the case is, I introduce him through the playing field that they're on. So whatever they congratulate me on, I always refer it back to my relationship with God. If they say, man, that idea was so good, man, it made me crazy amount of money, man. How did you come up with that creative idea? God is the ultimate creator. Man, dude, how are you able to build that business and come up with the capital to do so and so on? God is my ultimate provider. I always find a way through conversation of what they're celebrating to make that celebration about God.
Here's what I want to do. I gotta park. I gotta park real quick because I gotta get you to some how-tos real quick. But I want to give our online audience an opportunity to worship the Creator in giving. We want to worship the Creator in giving. We want to take this moment to give to God. God has allowed us the opportunity, He's afforded us the opportunity to be a part of a magnificent ministry. Bishop has said, reach this generation, Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z. And there's some of you that are on here that are baby boomers. We want to give tonight. And just because we're not in the building doesn't mean we don't come with the sense of worship and placing God in that holy place where He is. Matter of fact, this is even more of a reason to actually bless Him because of the way the gospel is coming through technology, in your home, through your device, in the grocery store, in the dorm room, wherever you are, this technology. We want to sow into the kingdom tonight. And I'm going to ask you tonight to sow a $45 seed tonight. You may not have it. You give the best you got, the closest you can to it. There's no new car coming. There's no new house coming. We're going to sow that seed tonight because I believe it's worthy. This ministry is worthy. Our God is worthy. Our substance belongs to God. So as our worship team comes and just gives us a small little number as you prepare to worship the Lord in giving, they're going to sing, and I'm going to come right back. I'm going to pray, and Adrian and I are about to get into some how-tos. How do I do it? We're going to talk about some of the steps that he took to become who he is today. Let's worship the Lord in giving.
He's a wonder, He's a wonder. He's a wonder, He's a wonder. He's a wonder in my soul. Sing it. He's a wonder, He's a wonder. He's a wonder, He's a wonder. He's a wonder. He's a wonder in my soul. He's a wonder. He's a wonder. He's a wonder in my soul. He's a wonder. In my soul. He's a wonder. He's a wonder. He's a wonder. see miracles, miracles, a million little miracles. I see miracles, miracles, a million little miracles. See, I see miracles, miracles, a million little miracles. The fact that you're standing here, I see miracles, million little miracles. I see miracles, a million little 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 miracles. Hey, a million little miracles. 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 Oh, million little miracles. A million little miracles. You ain't gotta look far, just look at me. A million little miracles. You ain't gotta search far, just look at me. Hey, 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 look at me. Count your blessings in 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't even count them all. 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 I see miracles, miracles, a million little miracles. Count your miracles, miracles. Count your miracles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on and bless him, 'cause he's a miracle worker. Yes, you are. Come on, if you believe he's a miracle worker, sound the alarm of worship. He's a miracle worker.
What about that worship?
We got a bomb worship team. Listen.
Outstanding.
Yes.
But how about that word?
Right.
That conversation.
It was full of information. Like we promised you all at the start of this whole series, at the start of the service, we told you that you were going to be given information, life applicable information,
Yes.
that would help catapult your 2022 and catapult you into the better version of yourself God is calling you to be.
And just like the word that Pastor Tudman gave us on last time, you can replan, you can re-employ, but never retreat.
Never retreat.
And that's the purpose of these conversations. We want to make sure that we're giving you vital information, practical information that you can employ in your life so that you won't retreat, we won't retreat, and we can go into 2022 being our best selves.
And one of the ways that you can ensure that your ground will be fertile and that you will reap a harvest is by sowing into this ministry. So we want you all to sow right now. It's time to give and sow into what you believe in God to do for your life. Now we just text the word WHEEL, W-H-E-E-L, to 28950.
Again, the word WHEEL to 28950. Do so right now.
Yep. Or download the app and give that way. And right now we're going to have a word from our own pastor.
I want to thank you for sowing tonight. And it is, I believe, a great place to sow seed into. This is holy ground, and this is a ground that I believe you can trust all over the world. So Father, we thank you for those that took the time to sow into the Potter's House tonight. We thank you for our leaders. We thank you for this organization. We ask that you bless those that gave. Bless their hearts their mind, their want to. And even those that didn't have it, but said, if I did, this is what I would. So bless their intentions. We thank you for what you've done. And we thank you for what you're getting ready to do. In Jesus' name, amen. I want to jump right in. How do you do it? Okay, so you've got 4 or 5 companies. What is the first thing that needs to come to the man's or the woman's mind? I want to start a company. What do we need to do?
Well, I think for one, finding out what you are passionate about and what answer you are being. And when I say that, I think that all of us are set here to be an answer to a problem. Everything that God created is an answer to a particular problem. Adam was an answer. Eve was an answer. Like how we came to be. So there are answers, like we are legit answers. So asking yourself, what answer am I? Also understanding that you have, I believe, this is just me, that you have multiple purposes. And we serve a multifaceted God. And a lot of times we are so caught up in, I'm going to seek one purpose and one purpose only. What is my purpose in life? But if you start asking yourself these questions, like I asked myself before I started up my heart and soul, I said, what would I be doing if money was not an object? If all my bills were paid, if I was sitting on millions, traveling and kicking it with your friends only going to last so long. After a while, something is going to kick up on the inside of you that you would do for free, that because you just love to do it. And for me, it was like, oh, I love sneakers, so I probably do something in sneaker culture. Okay, cool. So what did I do? I started praying about it. You mentioned this. I started sowing, and I started sowing seeds towards heart and soul. I came up with a name. I started being around the right people, and I formulated me and the 2 other owners. We came together. We had a meeting. What I was planning to do in 4 years, we did in 4 months.
Wow. In 4 months.
In 4 months, legit. I'm talking about in 4 months. I said in 4 to 5 years, I'm gonna have me a store. This is what I was sowing towards. This is what I was believing towards. And this is what, again, if you say, yo, I'd be doing this if money was not an object, then you've already established that you'll be working and not necessarily always feel like you're working. You would do it just because you have a love for it. So I had already established that. Then by me connecting with the right partnership with Sean and Chris, I'm telling you, man, like partnering with the right partnership will save you so much time. We sat down at a Mexican restaurant. I told him, hey man, I got this name. I was thinking about this. Sean is in the sneakers, Chris is in the sneakers, and we found our lanes and ran our lanes. And in 4 months, we were cutting the ribbon to our brick and mortar store.
So let's go here. Congratulations on that, by the way. Let's go here. At what point, because there's multiple facets to that answer you just gave us. We create the idea, you start sowing into the kingdom, you open the actual store. So we want to talk about partnership, but we want to talk about at what point, did you know how much capital you were going to need to get off the ground? You know, how did you find that out? What did you do? Did you go to a bank, a small business loan? Did you have other investors? You have already mentioned 2 other partners. But if I want to open a shoe store, if I want to open a Subway, what are those steps? Do I go get an EIN number? What do I do? How do I do the berries, make sure I'm checking the box so that I'm doing things along the way? What advice do you have to give to the one that has the idea but doesn't have the capital or doesn't have the business, doesn't have the lawyer? What are those 4 or 5 steps real quick? And you don't have to elaborate on them because I want to go to some other places with you real quick. So just give us those.
Man, for one, I love the fact that you're giving practicalities with this. So for one, when I had the name, we did the name reservation, got the EIN, right? I am a people person. I am a connector. I'm a charismatic. Put me in the room. I'm going to work the room. I'm going to build connections. Sean is a numbers guy. this reason why I say like it's important in who you connect with, because when it comes to capital, you definitely do the research of how much money it will take for this thing to start off. We didn't have to have a lot of capital for Heart and Soul, because a big part about it, when we opened up, we all had our respective collections, and we put a lot of our own shoes to start up the store. Now, we did go out and buy certain shoes. We had an opportunity for a business loan. This is pre-COVID. So we had an opportunity for a business loan. We did not take a business loan. We put up all of our own money. I had a lump sum in savings. Sean had a lump sum in savings. Chris had a lump sum in savings, and we leveraged our own money. Also, too, if there were things like for the store, we would leverage. We would leverage things like on our credit card, and we would be like, and then after opening day, we literally paid that stuff off. We didn't. We were three black men that came into it and said, we are not going to take a loan from anybody. We're going to do it ourselves. So EIN, we registered. Also, I think it's important for people to know, you also need to get a DUNS number. And a DUNS number is establishing your business credit. A lot of us don't understand that, especially within our culture, that you can establish business credit. People don't understand. You establish that business credit, you leverage that business credit, you start getting your business and putting things in your business name. So if anything goes wrong with your business, it doesn't affect you personally. The business can go under and then the person still be protected. There's the reason why somebody like Donald Trump can have all of these businesses that does not work and then turn around and still personal credit not be affected. And so we got a DUNS number, leverage that. We didn't put anything on our credit to start off, but we did have a DUNS number, did leverage that. And then doing the research for the buildings and doing the numbers. Now, numbers aren't my thing, but because of the partnership, Sean was able to, that's Sean's thing. And Sean was able to relate to me, hey bro, this is what we need. I'm the bottom line guy. Yo, if we need 100K, let's go out here and get 100K. And a lot of times when you're trying to raise capital, people will look at and create a great business plan. Because if you have a good business plan, there'll be people where you don't necessarily have to go to the bank to leverage that. There are a lot of people that are willing to invest in your company for a percentage or a payback. So if you have a good business plan, you can present that to them as well.
If you don't have a lawyer in your partnership, what do you recommend? At what point do you get a lawyer, or do you need one?
I do think that you need some type of attorney, lawyer to look over contracts, look over leases, but it doesn't mean that you have to quote unquote go out and get one. Right now, there are so many lawyers that do a la carte services, and you can hire them. Hey, I need you to look over a lease. I have a business, making sure. And I'm gonna tell you guys a good or great cheat code. LegalZoom is a great cheat code. InkFile is a great cheat code. And these places, you have to pay a little bit more, but they'll do all the work for you. So my goal is not just to be rich or to be wealthy or to have a lot of money. My goal is to be time wealthy. I want to be able to do everything with my time. Time is something I can't get back. So I want all the time in the world. I want to be time wealthy. So if I could pay somebody a little bit extra money to do that, where I don't have to go downtown or mail off certain things or be checking emails to make sure that this is okay, I would just rather pay someone to do that. And so there are cheat codes that are offered now. So I wouldn't necessarily say you have to get a lawyer, but definitely look at attorneys that do a la carte services or online services where you can submit that stuff and they can read it over and give you their advice or critiques.
I'm keeping going. That's a great answer. And you just gave us 2 cheat codes, so we're gonna make sure that everybody gets that. Here's what I want to know. What do? You know, when you work for people, you got benefits. Well, as an owner, there's no benefits. I mean, you got to build the company. So what is that like for the entrepreneur that's trying to get off the ground when he walks away from, you know, a company that's got the 401k? I want you to encourage them or just let them know that starting a company means you got to take care of that too.
Man, Lord have mercy. You struck a nerve. I was like, oh man. But no, like seriously, that at this stage, I think we're at the best stage to create businesses and to be an entrepreneur, because there's so many benefits at our disposal. Where before, insurance companies didn't even acknowledge entrepreneurs like that. Like it was like nothing to really work with us. Now they have whole programs that are set for the entrepreneur as they continue to build their company, and insurance that covers you as an individual. Like, so like if you just want, it to cover you, and then as you kind of build a team, like they can pay for their own insurance. And it's certain options that can happen. It can come out of how you pay them, like out of their check, whatever their direct deposit, or they can choose to pay it and let it be all on them. They can sign up underneath your company, get a cut in price that they could not get on their own because it's registered to your company, but they are responsible for paying it. So if they don't pay it, it doesn't shut down the actual whole situation. They just may be cut off for that time until they pay it. But you do have to do the research to find out what options work best for you as it pertains to health benefits, dental benefits, and things of that nature. And sometimes, through the grace of God, through that time, sometimes you just don't get sick, and you just pray COVID don't get you, and the Marion don't get you, and Delta don't get you, and who else don't get you.
I got to keep going. I want to ask you this. We've been talking about the multiple businesses. How do you know when to do another business?
So what Sean and I call, what me, Sean, and Chris, we call a new bottom. We have a new zero. And that being before, I've been totally broke before, accounts in the negative, like, hey, don't deposit no money in that account type of situation. But now there's a new zero. So if I hit, 10K, but I'm like, yo, that's sketchy for me. That's a new zero. When we hit a certain number, we begin to calculate that number. When we hit a certain number, we start looking at other ventures to step out into, collectively, also individually. Our restaurant Hammerheads was Sean's baby, but we said, yo, that's Sean's baby. He wants to do it. We're going to come in with Sean, and we're going to push Sean's vision for this forward. Now we got another project that I'm looking at doing in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're saying, hey, this AD's baby. So then guess what? We're going to come in on that too. But we have a number amount that we reach to say we can do this at this amount. When we reach this amount, we can do this. And we have a plan for it. We have a structure for it. And you begin to create your new zero and also your new venture. So that's what we call it. When we get to a certain number, now we're looking at a new venture.
So we got a new venture, and we got a new venture and a new zero. Now it sounds like to me as you talk, because I'm not investigating, I'm just listening to you, that your partnerships just roll right into the next venture.
Well, and that's something that we've kind of set because we found a system that works for us. Now I have my own personal things that I do, and Sean has his own personal things that he does, and Chris has his own personal things that he does. But when we're talking about a big venture, brick and mortar type of situation, then we kind of look at doing those things together, but we run our lanes very well. And I don't cross over into Sean's lane. Like, for example, like when I negotiate a deal about a bulk order of shoes out here in LA, I just negotiated a deal. And I have access to the account. I got it on my phone. I can go in that account and I can transfer the money and put that money into the account and pay the guy. I don't do that. I text in the group, hey, Sean, I need you to transfer X amount of dollars. Just close this deal. Let me know when it's done. Sean then goes in and he transfers the money, even though I have access to it. Chris, then after the money's transferred, he puts in a group, done. Chris then turns around and pays the man. I don't even pay the man. I just am the connector of the negotiation. So we found our lanes. We don't move, but also it's not that I can't do it. It's not that I can't do it and tell them, hey, yeah, hey guys, this is the play that I made. I do that because it's a partnership, and that's the level of communication, bringing them into it. And so, like I said, I just believe in partnership. It moves you further, faster. A lot of times people want the big lump sum check, and we got to get out of instant gratification. We got to get out of that. You got to play the long-term game for what you're trying to build and what you're trying to establish.
Adrian, you have given us a lot of knowledge today, and I really love for our audience to grasp this partnership piece. You have really laid that on us, that you don't have to do it by yourself, and that there are others that are trying to go after new ventures, and you can go further together. So if I'm you and I'm in the wheel right now, I'm trying to look through my circle. Who is it that I can go in with and maybe work on theirs first and work on mine next? But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add to that too, man. You know, and this is not just with Chris and Sean. You know, like with all of my friends, if you have a foot in the door and we're trying to go through the same door, the wrong thing for me to do is try to keep going at the pace of you so that we can squeeze through together. Sometimes I need to take a step back. Your foot is already in, stand behind you, push you through the door. And as you're going through the door, you grab my hand and pull me through the door. That's real partnership. It is the ability to say, who's further along? Let's push that person. Let's remove ego. Let's put pride to the side so we can get to, so we can establish what we want to establish and get to this bag together. Like, and a lot of times we don't get to the bag because we want it to be that self-gratification. We want to say we did it, I did it. You know, it was an I thing. You know, I put this together. I did this. But a lot of times in business, man, I've lost the I for we, and I've seen it work for me time and time again. So, you know, like, get behind somebody, push them, start looking at your circle, start looking at the people because I think a lot of times we want to network up, but we don't want to network out. So if you network on the same playing field as you got people that, like, if you're trying to do content, I just did a short film. I executive produced a short film, and we are legit right now shopping it to be pitched to the Oscars. And, you know, man, but it's because I networked out. I created with the people. I didn't wait for, you know, the big deal from Issa Rae and Tyler Perry and stuff like that. Before Tyler Perry was Tyler Perry chose to work with those that were on his level. Then we saw him become. And I think that's what we got to start doing. A lot of times we're looking to go up, but we need to look to go out. Who I need to work with now that we can all go up together.
Man, thank you. And I'm out of time. Like, and I just need you to squeeze something in for me in like 60 seconds, if you could do this for me. And that is, one, you already gave us 2 or 3 resources, but are there any books that an entrepreneur may want to look at? Are there any other online resources that you may want to provide for us? And how often are you always going back to the drawing board trying to re-educate yourself?
I'm re-educating myself every single day. I believe leaders are readers, and you know, if I'm not reading something, I'm listening to something. So I could tell people this, a big secret weapon for me. Like, I have a podcast, but I believe I love listening to podcasts. They grow me. They, you know, in my time of driving or whatever the case is, I listen to ebooks or podcasts. I'll say a few books. Number one, I would say Atomic Habits.
James Clear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Atomic Habits, man, is so good. And then there are a few others that I can give you, but man, like one of the others, let me see, because I'm pulling it up right now. I actually just sent this out to my mentorship group. 13 Things That Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin. It's very good. I also am reading again for the third time, Leaderships by John Maxwell.
Love it.
Yeah, man. And also another one that's big for me is Too Busy Not to Pray by Bill Hybels. And that for me, because of everything that I'm doing and trying to launch and trying to create, it's very easy to get caught up into a rut and get on the wheel of running, and then you don't make it a habit to have a strong prayer life. As much as you invest into your ability to get to the bag, also invest in your ability to get to the Bible. And so I think that we have to find and make that a priority. I don't live by the principle of a balanced life. I live by the principle of that there are priorities. And so you make your time with God a priority, because it's impossible with everything that's pressing to balance everything out. Some stuff you go, I think the amazing TD Jakes said this, Bishop TD Jakes said it. He says, you're going to make an F with somebody today. Like, I was watching a leadership thing years ago of him, and I live by that. He says, you can't make an A with everybody every day. That's our issue. Like, we're trying to live a balanced life. We're trying to make an A every single day in the same areas, and that's impossible to do. So what I started to do, I said, no, it's not about balance, it's about priority. This is a pressing priority, and I'm making this a priority right now. And then tomorrow there's going to be a different set of priorities. But so Bill Hybels, Too Busy Not to Pray is big for me. And I pretty much read that throughout the year. I make that almost like a quarterly thing to strengthen my prayer life and to strengthen my relationship with God. And then, so those are some books, podcasts, my Commerce podcast. I talk about business and I interview different people in business and so forth and so on. Earn Your Leisure is a good podcast to listen to if you're an entrepreneur, things of that nature. Also, David Shands, he has a great podcast, Social Proof. It's a great podcast for entrepreneurs and things of that nature. So I'm feeding myself that way. Because sometimes it's not about you just sitting down reading a book. You got to feed yourself on the go. So I call it, like my to-go food. And then if you are trying to establish a business and you listen to me, Inkfile, if you go to Inkfile, you can type in a name, they'll start doing the research for you. If you have a name in mind for your business, please, if you don't even know what you're going to do with it, just resonates with you, go to GoDaddy, start reserving those domain names. Domain names on the internet right now is like real estate. So get it before somebody hears you say it, and then they buy it, and then you got to buy it from them at 3 times the price. I remember when I was doing ministry, AdrianDavisNow.com. AdrianDavisNow.com. I was building a brand on social media, didn't even realize I was building a brand. I looked up, I had 20,000 followers on Twitter and something like that. I go, and my name was Adrian Davis Now. And the thing of it is, it was Adrian Davis Now because I felt like God was always calling me to be in the now. What am I doing now? What's changing now? What am I doing now? Dude, I went to go buy the name. Somebody had just bought it 4 months before me. And I had to pay what was a $9.99 purchase for a domain name. Cost me $3,500 to get.
What?
But because I wanted my name that much, because people are paying attention to the brands that people are building. So if you have a name, if you have something that you're thinking about, please go and get that name. Go get that domain, register the name, and sit on it. Sit on it. My production company is Brilliant Black Boy. Before I launched anything with Brilliant Black Boy, before I started working on my documentary, before I started doing anything, I went and got that name. Now I've only launched one thing, a trailer for my documentary, and literally people have started trying to get that name and they couldn't get it. People pay attention, man. So you got to reserve that.
So there's a group of people that's sitting there watching who is coming up and they'll go purchase that name and just sit on it, which is another way to come up.
Yep.
Because you got to pay for the name.
It's a hustle. It's a hustle. Oh, like, you know, like if I'm sitting back and I'm watching, I'm like, oh, Joe Tudman is on fire. He's doing it. Let me go see if he got his name yet. And I go and I buy it and I sit on it. And I just wait for you to the day you choose to email GoDaddy and say negotiate a deal to get that domain name. And then when they get ready to negotiate a deal, I tell you, hey, that'll be $3,000
for my name.
And I got it at $20. so because so I'll leave with this thought. Just don't be a business in theory, be a business on paper. You want to be legit. You want to be legit, and please get out of the idea of I'm trying to start a business, so on and so on, but you don't want to pay taxes. The goal is to be able to pay taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Adrian Davis. I really appreciate you taking time with us. He's very, very busy. He's got multiple businesses, and we've had a strong conversation. And I believe there's a partner out there for you. And when you get off of this line, go see if your name is $20 or if it's $3,000 and get your name. Thank you for being with us on the wheel tonight, my friend.
I don't know about y'all. I don't know about you. I think I'm ready.
I am ready.
I'm ready. This is only the first conversation, y'all. And we are, I feel like I'm ready to go ahead and do that thing that's been on me all 2021.
I'm ready to tackle the whole year.
Yeah.
We're just ready to walk into the year running full speed ahead.
And we ain't even finished though. We're not even fully equipped, but the information we received today, insightful, thought-provoking,
practical, vital, and necessary. Stuff that we can take with us the entire 12 months of the year and beyond.
And beyond. I pray that you all wrote down your notes. I pray that you're using this and that you're thankful to God that He's allowed this information to come to you. And I want y'all to get ready because it ain't nowhere near done.
And we just getting started.
We just getting started.
If you thought the conversation was something, wait until we tap into this word.
Yeah.
And if it was anything like last time,
it's gonna be
I'm telling you, go ahead and prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves.
And when y'all, listen, when you're at home watching, you might want to get rid of your VR.
You see it? You see it?
The center turned and full.
You see it?
All you gotta do is text Wheel Merch, WHEELMERCH.
to 28950.
Yep.
Again, that number, 28950. You want to make sure you worship with us and you look like us, get fly like us.
Because we look good.
We look good. You know what? You can say it. You can say it. Go ahead.
We look good. We're so excited you all joined us this evening. Listen, we can't wait to see you next week.
Yes.
Don't forget to get on the wheel because revival
begins
at the wheel.
At the wheel.
See you next week.
See y'all next week. Good night.